Awesome. We are live and welcome, welcome, welcome. It is an amazing Saturday. And we got it going this time. We've got Chris and Susan here with us. We got the time zone stuff figured out, and it was great. You know, it was a good learning experience for everybody. And but I'm ready. I've got my coffee here. And before we get started, for those of you that may not know who I am, my name is Josh. I am an attraction marketing coach. I help network marketers, affiliate marketers, and small business owners learn how to take their business online completely and use social media in more effective ways than they can ever imagine. So without further ado, I don't want to take too much time away from whatever Chris and Susan have for us today, but I will say that Chris and Susan, I met them through another program that we got part of, and we actually got to know a little bit about each other here, you know, sometime back when we were part of an event where we got to spend a little more direct time in a smaller group and kind of learn about each other, understand where each other came from. And I knew right away I had to get these guys on here because, you know, they've got tons of experience and they've got a lot of great knowledge. And so I'm going to let you guys introduce yourself. Chris and Susan, welcome, and tell us a little bit about you guys and, you know, kind of where you're from, what makes you tick.
Well, right now we're coming to you from a place called Sheer in Surrey Hills. It's just outside London, here in the UK. We are having incredibly unseasonable weather, if that's the right word. It's like 34 degrees centigrade here today, which is very, very hot. Hence, we've got the office doors open and the windows open, so you might hear sirens and all kinds of things. But no, it's fabulous. Isn't it fabulous that we can be here all the way across the pond and we're talking to your audience, your tribe, in your home, and in fact anywhere they are around the world? I mean, I think that has to be said because technology these days has given us all so many more opportunities.
For sure. Yeah. And that's a huge thing. I'm glad you pointed that out because, you know, our audience, we do have quite a few people that are around the world, just that follow us. And, you know, what's really cool about that is that we don't have to be limited by our geographical location, you know, and I think that, you know, a lot of people, they don't like to talk about the current situations going on with the pandemic, but I like to say that I think this helped us break out of that mold that people were so stuck in this. I can't get online. I can't do this. I can't do that. And like you said, here we are. We never would have met if this, you know, we didn't get online and we didn't get into this. So yeah, thanks for mentioning that because that's awesome.
No, I think. Oh, sorry. Go on. No, go on. No, go on. We always do this. Go on, Chris. Sorry.
So, a bit about our story. So, we're accountants and management consultants by profession, or we were many years ago. And 10 years ago, as a result of our pension pot, which we'd invested in property, going belly up in the 2008 big worldwide recession, we started looking for something else. We had to find another way, and we're not the sort of people who just like to sort of sit back and do nothing and let things happen. So it took us a couple of years to actually find what we were looking for, but we were in actual fact working with clients, and we were looking for online education for them to show them how to take their business online, maybe how to get a website, what they could do with it, all that sort of stuff. And whilst we were doing that research, we actually discovered we could build a business online and actually make money. And we thought, well, this sounds interesting. Let's investigate a bit further. So we did that, and we actually invested in a project. Here's something that most people have done. We invested something like £3,000, so I don't know, $4,000 into an online education program, and then life got in the way and it sat on the shelf for 9 months.
Perfect shelf development, you know.
It was great.
Because the timing wasn't right.
No, that's right. You know, and that's the thing. You know, people have to realise that people will buy in their own time, and they'll start doing what they really want to do in their own time.
Yep.
You know, just because they happen to click on your link today or they happen to talk to you today doesn't mean they're actually ready and going to do it. So, you know, that's an important thing. So 10 years ago, we started our online business, and we gave ourselves 6 months. So we started part-time, and we said, right, in 6 months' time, we are going to be working this business full-time. Was it difficult for us? Yeah, it was. But we knew that if we set ourselves a difficult task, a difficult goal, we'd at least get close.
Right.
And so we were working 2 or 3 hours every night. We still had our full-time accountancy business and consultancy business. And every night at 7 o'clock, we were at home. We had an appointment at home. Susan would start cooking a meal, and I'd start working on our business, and then we'd stop, eat, and then we both carry on working on our business after the meal. And we did that every night for 6 months, and every weekend as far as we could for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of 6 months, we gave up our consultancy business, and we were full-time online. And I have to say, I remember the first day that we actually didn't have to get up and get in the car and go to a client. It was amazing.
Absolutely amazing. But the golden nugget there is for anyone, if they're in the same position, because most people are, they're usually, apart from the pandemic situation that we're in right now, which actually gives you opportunities, we are most people starting part-time in our network marketing or online affiliate marketing business while we're still doing something else. And what we actually did, with mobile phones not being quite as good as they are today, but we always put an appointment in our physical calendar, which was a heavy old book we used to carry around in our briefcase. And it said we were working on our business at this time in the diary and the calendar, if you know it as a calendar. And that's how we stay committed to the task at hand. And it is something we would suggest to all our students that they do, because you're committed to yourself then, and nothing else gets in the way, because otherwise there's always something.
Right. And that's so true too, because, one of the biggest downfalls that people run into with any sort of business, it's not even just network marketing or affiliate marketing or anything like that. Any business is if you start losing that consistency, your business starts to get stale. And a stale business brings frustration, because obviously you don't want to be sitting there trying to be like, oh, well, I'm working on my business. But are you really working on your business, or are you working in your business? And that's really the biggest thing. So that's so cool that, that's a great example to lead, especially for anybody who, comes around your way in the future too, is like, hey, this is what we did to be successful. And this is something that, we needed to make sure that we had this appointment in there every day, that, hey, when we get done with work, we're coming home, we're eating dinner, and then it's right to business. It's not this, well, I'm going to watch a show, and then I'm going to put my kid to bed, and then I'm going to probably spend some time with my wife, and then I'll probably get around to it, So honestly, kudos to you guys for definitely, sticking it in there and just saying, what, we made a commitment. We're going to do it. We're going to stay consistent. And that's awesome. And great example to lead there. So one of the things, when we met, we're part of obviously a group that focuses around attraction marketing, and, tell everybody a little bit about how you kind of came across that, and, kind of how that fits in with everything else that you guys are doing.
Well, here we go. Funnily enough, the very first mentor that we had, who helped us build our online business, actually was a great fan of attraction marketing. He'd learned it from his mentor. So naturally, as we all do, we pass it down to our students and our clients that we work with. And he gave us this manual this is about this thick. You'll laugh, because everything was in paper those days. And he said, go read that, and everything's in there that you're going to need. And what was really awesome, because he was a young guy, 27 years old, and we were in our mid 50s then, so that's quite a mindset shift to be working with someone that young. Right. But he'd done what we wanted to do. So we were very happy to be led along a path that we knew would get us the success that we wanted. So inside this book was all of the online and automation strategies that are like 10 times easier these days than they were then. And we just followed that through, and we thought, you know what, this is it, because we do not want to be chasing for clients,
Right.
Like we had to do when we first started looking at network marketing,
Right.
back in 2004, I think it was, when we got our first network marketing invitation, before we even knew what it was. And that's another story for another day.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's one lesson we learned then. We said, when we ever want to build a business of our own, it's going to be based on attraction marketing. And we've been doing that for the past 10 years. And does it work? You bet it does. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's so cool too, that, you know, you guys, that's one of the reasons why I was so excited to get on, and probably why I was just like, I just assumed, you know, the time zone. I was like, I'm just going to get these guys on right now, because the thing is that this is a great example. And for those of you that are listening, honestly, like, just really pay attention to this. Is, like they said, 10 years. That's not like somebody just put a drop in the bucket and said, okay, well, you know, we've been around for a while. I mean, myself, you know, my wife and I, and not to get too much into our story, because this isn't about us, but just to put an example, like, we've been around network marketing for years, but we've only been in the online space since last year. So we're looking at this going, okay, you know, is this something that people can use for a long time, or is this just like the groundwork for something else? No, this is a great example right here, that this is something that can be used for so long, and it's an unlimited skill, because you're always going to learn something new. There's always new strategies to implement, and that's so cool. So next question is, when it comes to attraction marketing, and, you know, you guys obviously have put a lot of time into that, not just the freedom and things like that, but just in like business and also your mindset. How has that changed your life, and how has that changed your business just by really grasping the concept of attraction marketing?
Well, I think the biggest thing you will notice, or the biggest contrast we can draw, was, you know, as Susan said, we first got introduced to network marketing about 2004, and
Mm-hmm.
we were, you know, we didn't even really know what it was, but, you know, we saw the principle when we got presented in a hotel room, and of course we joined. And then the first thing somebody said to us was, okay, right, make a list of your friends and family.
Yep.
and start calling them. You know, everybody's got this story, and of course, being new to this sort of industry, we just did as we were told. And so we started calling people, and some people came to our home, and some people went to hotel meetings, and we were presenting the plan and all that stuff. And then, of course, you get through a few weeks and you realize, well, hang on, my list of friends and family has now disappeared. It's finished.
Yep.
And then for us, in our very first go, 9 weeks after we started, everybody left, and so we were back to square one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was then we actually realized, probably unintentionally, that we were actually prospecting the wrong people, because, you know, we were really excited about this new thing we were doing, and we couldn't understand why everybody wouldn't want to do it. Because
products were amazing.
Well,
Right.
I mean, it's not just the product, but, you know, the principles of being able to build passive income were amazing. And as accountants, that really appealed to us. And so that was sort of day one, if you like, or day minus 5 years before we started online. But then once you start to understand that attraction marketing is a very powerful set of knowledge, I'm going to call it, a powerful set of skills, because the skills change, as you said earlier on, depending on as tools and technology change. You have to change with that, but the principles are still the same. And the principles are that you need to decide who you want to work with, who your perfect customer is, who your target market is. Because if you don't know who they are, they're never going to come and work with you, because you're never going to be able to talk to them and find them.
Right.
You know, you can't sell everything to everybody.
We thought we could.
Like we did when we first started. We couldn't understand why everybody wouldn't buy this thing that we were doing.
Yep.
But of course, not everybody's like you. And so the goal is to find people who want to do what you've done or what you are doing. And so that's your first goal. Find the people, decide, write down who they are. Are they a man? Are they a woman? Where do they live? How old are they? Have they got kids? Have they got a house? All that sort of stuff. What books do they read? So that's where you start. The second thing you've got to then do is decide, right, okay, I know how these people think. What problems do they have?
Mm-hmm.
And what problem or pain is going to be exactly the same, probably, as the one that you had when you started.
Yep.
So if you start then talking to that pain or problem, however you're marketing, whether it's on Facebook or LinkedIn, whether it's paid or whether it's free, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you highlight that problem, your market will say, he's talking to me or she's talking to me.
Yep.
Then when you go to the third part, which is, well, I've got a solution for this problem and I know it works because we've done it.
Mm-hmm.
Then you start to get those people go, well, if they've done it, what actually is it that they're doing?
Exactly right.
And they're the three things that you need to realize about attraction marketing. They really are 3 simple steps, but you have to keep them up here.
Yeah. And that's so true too. And sometimes it's hard because those of us that have been in network marketing well before getting into any sort of attraction marketing or online marketing, it's so hard to change that habit. It's so hard to change that mindset to go from everybody's a prospect to these people are a prospect. And, we hear it all the time in the network marketing world. They say, bring a wide gate and then funnel everybody down. But the problem is that if your gate's too wide, you can't properly funnel anybody. What you're doing is you're just blocking everything up and they all sit here and they go, well, I see you, but I don't understand you. And I think that's really cool that, the difference that you guys have had in terms of, like you said, I totally relate with the whole, your A list and B list and all that stuff. Like that was our experience too. We had over 300 people on an A list that we basically burned through in a matter of a few months. And actually take that back. One person is now with us, but they didn't sign up right away, which is a good, attention to what you said earlier, is that it may not be the right time for them now. And just because it didn't work doesn't mean that those people aren't watching. Just means that that's not always the most effective way, because 90% of the people on that list are not our perfect prospect. Exactly. So it's, and that's so true. And I do appreciate you sharing that piece, especially because it really shows the difference in what we're taught traditionally to what really works, especially in an information age type business model, which I'll be one to say it. I'm going to challenge that whole thing. If somebody tries to say a traditional network marketing business is an information age business model, they're out of their mind, because it is literally you're basically running a brick and mortar business without the brick and mortar. Yep. Because you have to go do the footwork, you have to go advertise, and your advertising is you personally going out and shaking hands and fog and mirrors or whatever you want to call it. But and that stuff works. Like let's not downplay it. It works, but let's call it what it is. It's the traditional business. It's not an information age business, because just because you don't have a store doesn't mean you actually have, anything that is of further reach than the 5 feet in front of you. And so super, super awesome. I appreciate that. One last question I have for you is, if there's one thing that really has been like the game changer for you, something that if somebody's listening right now going, oh, I want that nugget, what is the one thing that you would tell people, anybody, either they're on the fence of thinking about going online, or they just, somebody who just needs that push forward? Like, what is it that you would say that just top of mind, first thing that comes to mind? Like, what's that nugget that somebody would need?
Well, you won't get two, because everyone does, because we both have different answers. So
Perfect.
I would say, don't get fearful of technology. If you can't do something yourself, there's always somebody else who'll do it for you. I have that personal experience. I have someone to do it if I can't, and vice versa. But don't let it stop you. That's my one.
Perfect.
The other thing I would say is make sure you make a decision Okay, so you can't sit on the fence or very long anyway, because you get splinters. So the thing is you have to make a decision that you're going to move forward or you're not going to move forward. And the biggest thing that stops us is fear. It's fear of the unknown. We're sitting up here looking, well, what happens if it doesn't work? And then you got somebody saying, well, what happens if it does work?
Yep.
But you know, all you have to do is make a decision, because sitting on the fence won't get you anywhere. But if you make a decision, and even if it's no for now, it's not for you, then that's fine, because you've made a decision and you can forget all about it and move on with your life. If the decision is yes, then you get involved in whatever it is, move forward, and in actual fact, you find just why you don't understand when you've jumped off the fence, why you were actually so fearful of it. Because yeah, you're going to have to learn some new skills, but we all learn new skills every day.
And we all learn new skills when we start a new job or a career. So what's different?
Exactly. And that's so cool too. You know, both of you, those are great points. And honestly, it's funny because people will overthink it, but it's really so simple. You know, push past your fear and just make a decision. You know, and both of those things are, I like to put that together. A lot of what people don't realize is that being successful, whether it's offline, online, whether you're a pilot, whether you're you build sewers or you clean out sewers, whatever it is, in being intentional with whatever you do is what's really important. And those 2 points right there, so clear that they're intentional decisions. You know, it's being intentional about not letting technology stop you. It's being intentional about not just sitting on the fence and just making a decision, which I love that. If you sit on the fence too long, you're going to get splinters. That's awesome. Like, I love that. I'm going to have to use that one time, because honestly, that is so hilarious. I've never heard it said that way, but it makes sense, because you're teetering back and forth. You're just going to hurt yourself. You're just going to cause yourself more pain. So amazing. And thank you so much, guys. I mean, this has been probably one of the most clear, explanations of how business has really done, what it's done for your life and what it's done for you, just in understanding how business works, and the fact that you guys have been able to do this for so long and you're still doing it. You've already mentioned you're still learning every day. You're still bettering yourself. You're still pushing forward. I mean, I'm going to go on a limb and say you probably don't even have to do all this stuff that you need to, and you probably still could live a pretty comfortable life. But the fact that you guys push forward regardless, that's awesome. And that just shows your determination. And that's amazing.
Well, we are both of retirement age officially, but we once said on an interview, and now it's been spoken, so we can't take it back, is we'll probably never retire, because we actually love what we do. And if, awesome. Like you, if you're not sharing knowledge with people, you don't have a legacy. You're not doing anything for anybody else. You're just serving yourself. And that's not what we're about in business these days. That's not what the world's about. And the pandemic has actually shown us that we all need to be doing something for somebody else.
Absolutely.
And I think we all, as online entrepreneurs these days, whatever type of business we have, that's what we should be doing. That's what our focus should be.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And that's something that I hope that everybody kind of just, feels that right deep down in their heart, that being successful doesn't mean that, you go through and you do all these tasks, and you do all these things, and, all of a sudden, boom, you have a successful business. Because our success is highly dependent on who we actually help and who we bring through, because we can't be successful if we can't actually show other people how to be successful themselves. And so, great point. I really appreciate that, Susan. That was amazing. And Chris and Susan both, thank you so much for being here. And I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your busy schedule in order to allow me to, Kype you in here and then, give my audience a bit of knowledge nuggets. And it was great. It was amazing. It was great to talk with you guys and chat. And so what I'm going to do for everybody is I'm going to go ahead and if anybody's curious about kind of these attraction marketing strategies or anything like that, I'm going to be putting a link down below on how you can get more information on getting these attraction marketing strategies in place. There is a free course that you guys can take in order to learn what we're talking about. It is a little high level. It doesn't go super deep into knowledge, but it'll give you a kind of a gist of what's going on. And then as far as Chris and Susan, I'm going to go ahead and put a link down into their information if you guys want to be able to reach out to them as well, because I think that's the right thing to do. You know, some people do that in their interviews and some don't. I think it's the best thing to do is, you know, if we're going to bring you in here, the least we can do is give you a little exposure, right? So
the thing is, there's one other point just coming out of that is that people will work with those they relate to.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And so we're a different age to you.
Yep.
We work in a different market to you, but you'll have all sorts of different types of people watching this video over time. Yep. And some people will go, oh, I really like Chris and Susan. And some people will go, I really like Josh.
Right.
And that's just the way it is.
And our mentor taught us that, and we've carried that with us right through our online career, and we'll continue to teach it. It's so important.
And isn't it so freeing too that you don't have to worry about like everybody else's decision, because you know that if someone wants to work with you, they're going to make that decision. Like you said, Chris, make a decision. They're going to make that decision and they're going to go, you know what? I love that interview that Josh and Chris and Susan had, but you know what? I really like Chris and Susan. I'm going to go click on their link to go to their page and I'm going to reach out to them. And that's fine. You know, that's the thing, is that's why we do these things. It's not for me. You know, it's for you guys. It's for bringing people in. And it's also for our audience. It's for bringing people in to be able to show that there's different types of people that do this business. And my goal, honestly, is 100% just to show the world that anybody can do this. Anybody in any capacity, at any age, of any skill level, can make an online business work. And that's really what's key. And so awesome. I'm not going to take up too much more of your time. I know that you guys got another thing coming up here. So, but again, I'm going to have the information down below. Everybody, thank you for showing up here. Again, my name's Josh. This was Chris and Susan, and thanks for spending your day with us.
Thanks very much.
Thank
Bye
you.
for now.
Nice to meet you.